No one ever told you it was allowed to still hurt this much. So let me be the one to tell you now. You can take your time. There is no clock running on your sorrow tonight, and there is no one waiting for you to be finished. I know the world has been quietly asking you to move on. I know you have felt the pressure to seem all right by now, but you do not have to be over it to be here. You do not have to be healed to be welcome. You only have to be willing to sit still for a little while and let someone speak gently over the place that still aches. So set down the act just for these few minutes. You do not have to look strong here. Take one slow breath with me and let your shoulders come down from where the grief has been holding them. Before we go any further, hear this plainly, because honesty matters more than comfort that isn't true. What you are about to receive is an encouragement drawn from the Bible, a reflection offered in faith over the grief you are carrying. It is not a private revelation. It is not a prediction, and it is not a promise that your loss will be undone or that your sorrow will end on any particular day. It is simply the timeless comfort of Scripture, read slowly over you today, exactly where you are. And there is one short line I want to build everything on tonight, because the whole world seems to have forgotten it. It comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 4. Listen to the words slowly and let them land. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Read it again in your heart and notice what it does not say. It does not say, blessed are they who got over it quickly. It does not say, blessed are they who hid it well. It says, blessed are they that mourn, the ones still mourning, the ones grieving right now. There is a blessing spoken over your sorrow, not over the day your sorrow finally ends. In the Scriptures, this is the voice of the one who made you, drawing close to the very people the world hurries past. And tonight, that ancient nearness is being spoken over you in your grief, just as you are. So let these words come to you the way the Scriptures speak them, as if the Father himself were sitting beside you, unhurried, and saying, my child, you are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to still feel this, long after others assumed you would be fine. You are allowed to cry on an ordinary afternoon, when nothing in particular happened, except that you remembered. You are allowed to fall apart at the song, the smell, the empty chair, the date on the calendar that only you remember. None of that is weakness of faith. None of that is failure. Love does not keep a schedule, and grief is only love with nowhere left to go. I know they told you it would pass. I know they meant it kindly. But somewhere along the way, you started to feel that your sorrow had overstayed its welcome. You learned to answer that you were doing fine because it was easier than watching their faces change. You learned to grieve quietly, in the car, in the shower, in the dark, when no one would have to be uncomfortable. And slowly you began to believe that something was wrong with you for still hurting this long. So hear me clearly tonight. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken because you still ache. You are not stuck because you still miss them. You are a person who loved deeply, and deep love does not leave on a timeline. The world is in a hurry, my child, but heaven is not. The world wants the grieving to recover quickly, to return to normal, to stop reminding everyone that things can be lost. But the Scriptures show a God who does not rush the brokenhearted, who sits in the ashes with them, who counts their tears and does not look away. You were never asked to perform your recovery for anyone. You do not owe the world a tidy story of healing. You do not owe anyone a brave face by a certain date. If today all you can do is breathe and miss them, then that is enough for today.
The scriptures say it gently in the book of Psalms, that the Lord is near to the ones who are brokenhearted, and that he saves those who are crushed in spirit. Hear who he is near to, not the ones who have moved on, the ones with the broken heart right now. Your sorrow did not push him away. Your sorrow is the very thing that drew him close.
He is nearest to you, not on the day you feel better, but on the day you can barely lift your head.
So if you are listening tonight with a grief that no one else can see, this is for you.
If you smiled at work today and ached the whole way home, this is for you. If it has been weeks and you are tired of people expecting you to be back to normal, this is for you. If it has been months and you wonder why it still hits you in waves, this is for you. If it has been years and a single memory can still take your breath away, this especially is for you. You do not have to explain yourself here. You do not have to justify how long it has taken. You do not have to dress up your grief to make it acceptable to anyone. Come as you are, with the sorrow exactly as heavy as it is. You have heard the voices, haven't you? The kind, impatient voices and the cruel ones inside. They tell you it has been long enough. They tell you other people have lost more and carried it better. They tell you that you should be stronger by now, that your tears are a burden, that your sadness makes the room heavy. And in the quiet, you begin to scold yourself for grieving at all. My child, hear me. That pressure does not come from heaven. The one who made you does not stand over you with a stopwatch, tapping his foot, waiting for you to be done. He is not embarrassed by your tears. The scriptures say he keeps them, that he gathers them up like something precious. What the world calls weakness, he calls the honest weight of a heart that loved. I want to give you permission tonight that no one else has given you. You are allowed to not be over it. You are allowed to still cry. This week, this month, this year, and the years that follow. You are allowed to grieve in your own way, on your own clock, at your own pace. You are allowed to laugh again too, without it meaning you have forgotten. And you are allowed to fall back into sorrow the very next hour, without it meaning you have come undone. Grief is not a straight line, and you were never failing just because yours wanders. I know there are days you feel you are doing better, and then a wave knocks you flat. You think you have lost the progress you made. You think you are back at the beginning, but the waves coming back is not you going backward. It is only love rising again, the way the tide returns. You can be healing and hurting at the very same time. Both can be true. Both are allowed. The scriptures never promise the grieving a quick end to their tears. They promise them his presence in the middle of them. And his presence does not require you to be finished first. Now I know you may not feel comforted yet, even as you hear these words. Comfort comes slowly to a heart that has been bruised this deeply. And that is all right. The blessing over the mourning does not wait for your sorrow to lift before it becomes true. You are held in your grief tonight, whether or not the holding can be felt. And these words were written down long before you were born so they could find you on a night just like this one. I want to say something tender about the one you lost, or the thing you lost, that the world keeps asking you to stop mentioning. You are allowed to say their name. You are allowed to tell the stories. You are allowed to keep loving someone who is no longer here to love you back. Remembering is not living in the past. Remembering is how love stays faithful when everything else has changed. The scriptures are full of people who mourned openly, who wept aloud, who tore their robes and were not ashamed. Grief that is honored is not weakness.
It is the truest evidence that something mattered. And let me speak gently to the guilt that so often rides along beside grief. The things you wish you had said, the visit you meant to make, the last conversation you would give anything to have again. You replay it, looking for the place where you could have done better, and the ache of it presses down on the sorrow until you can hardly breathe. Hear me carefully. You did the best you knew how with what you had in the moment you were in. You are not required to carry guilt on top of grief. That is a weight that was never yours to lift. The scriptures say His mercies are new every morning, and that mercy is wide enough to cover the things you could not change. So lay the guilt down, even if you have to lay it down again tomorrow and the day after that. I want you to think back, gently, on the days you were sure you would not survive this. The first morning you woke and remembered all over again. The nights, the silence in the house was almost too loud to bear. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still here, having carried something you never thought you could carry. Do you know how you made it through those days? Not because you were strong enough on your own. Not because you grieved correctly or quickly or quietly enough. The scriptures would say you were held, even on the days you felt completely alone in it. You were carried through the part you cannot even remember clearly now, because you were too deep in the sorrow to notice the hands beneath you. And here is something I do not want the pressure of the world to keep hiding from you. Healing, when it comes, will not mean forgetting. It will not mean the love stops. It will not arrive as a single morning when the grief is suddenly gone, tidy and complete. More often it comes the way dawn comes, slowly, in pieces, with the dark still lingering at the edges for a long while. And on the days it does not come at all, you have not failed. You have simply loved. And love takes the time it takes. The verse does not promise comfort by a deadline. It promises that the morning will be comforted in a faithfulness that does not run out. So tonight, I am asking you to set down a few things you were never meant to carry. Set down the pressure to be all right before you are all right. Set down the shame of grieving longer than other people seem to think you should. Set down the exhausting work of pretending, the performance you put on so no one has to worry. You were not made to carry those things, and you do not have to carry them tonight. And let me speak gently to the comparison that quietly steals what little peace you have left. You have watched others lose what you lost and seem to recover faster, and you have decided you must be doing it wrong. You measure your sorrow against theirs, against some invisible standard no one ever actually agreed to. But grief is not a race, and no two losses weigh the same on the heart that carries them. Your grief is allowed to look like your grief. It does not have to match anyone else's, and it does not have to make sense to them. The depth of your sorrow is not a flaw in you. It is the shape of how much you loved. If these words have loosened something in you, you do not need to do anything dramatic. You do not owe anyone a comment to make this real. You do not have to prove your grief or your faith to a stranger. But if you would like, you can take this quiet moment and turn it into a small prayer. It can be as simple as this. Lord, I am grieving and I am tired. Stay near me and help me to take my time. There are no perfect words for this. The scriptures show God meeting people in groans, in weeping, in prayers too broken to finish. Your honesty is enough. Your tears are enough. And if someone comes to your mind right now, someone carrying a loss of their own, you are welcome to share this message with them. Not as a demand, just as a quiet kindness, the way you would sit beside a friend who did not need you to fix anything, only to stay.
Now here is one gentle but important reminder, and I will not rush past it because it matters most of all tonight. Faith is a deep comfort in grief, but it was never meant to carry the whole weight of mourning alone. You were not made to grieve in isolation. Please, lean on the people who love you, even when it feels easier to hide. If the sorrow grows too heavy, if it begins to swallow your days or your sleep or your will to keep going, please reach out to a trusted friend, a pastor, or a grief counselor. Talking to someone who can sit with you in this is not a failure of faith. It is wisdom, and it is brave. Hope and help were always meant to walk together, and you do not have to walk this road by yourself. And before we come to the end, let me ask one gentle thing of you. Be patient with yourself a little longer. I am not telling you the grief will be gone by a certain morning. I am not handing you a date or a guarantee or a tidy ending wrapped with a bow. I will not pretend that the one you lost can be handed back or that the empty place will be filled by next spring. I am telling you what faith has always whispered to the grieving, that comfort is promised, and that the one who made you stays especially close to the brokenhearted. You do not have to hurry through this. You are allowed to take as long as you need. So, as this message comes toward its close, I want to leave one thing in your hands to carry into tomorrow. Your grief is not a sign that your faith is failing. It is the honest weight of a heart that dared to love. Whatever this loss has taken from you, the blessing spoken over the mourning still stands. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Not blessed when they finish mourning, blessed in it, comforted within it. I will not promise you a date. I will not promise you that the ache will fully disappear. I will not pretend to know the things that only God knows. You have been handed enough rushed reassurances, and I will not add to the pile. But I can leave you with what the scriptures say with quiet confidence, that the brokenhearted are not alone, and the mourning are not forgotten. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to take your time, and you are held the whole way through it. So lift your head tonight, not because the sorrow is over, but because you were never, not for one moment, meant to carry it alone. Take one more slow breath now, as gently as you can, and let this be the truth you rest on tonight. You are allowed to mourn. You are not rushed, and you are deeply, faithfully loved. If words of comfort like these bring you a little peace, you are always welcome to stay close to this quiet corner of the internet, where we simply sit with the scriptures together. And wherever tomorrow finds you, however heavy the missing still feels, may you carry it knowing that the one who made you stays near to the brokenhearted. Peace be with you, my friend. Take your time. Rest now.